Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, how do you discover the companies that offer the products you wish to buy? You know, let's say you're going to buy something, whether it's a consumer product or if you're in business, another business product, you want to purchase that. How do you go about finding that? Well, you may say, I go to this website or I go to this store online, right? And I go out there and I get it. Well, how did you discover that? Somewhere, at some point along the way, somebody grabbed your attention, which I think is the most scarce resource in the world today. That's why Jesus said in Matthew 6:34, right? Give your entire attention to what God is doing right now. Attention is that scarce resource. So somewhere along the way, somebody attracted your attention to that particular website or that storefront, and you began to develop what has emerged into a relationship with them. So now that you trust them and things like that. But it all began with someone getting your attention. How did they get your attention? Today's guest is going to help us understand how you, for your company, can, in a faith-focused way, that is with integrity and honesty and the kinds of qualities that Jesus would want us to have in our lives, get the attention of people who are looking to purchase what it is that your company has, whether it's a product or a service, and how to do it in such a way that you don't spend all your time trying to find your customers. So that if you have salespeople attached to your company, they're not spending all their time trying to find customers, but they're actually helping other people and on mission, we pray and hope, for Jesus Christ as they help other people. So today's guest is an expert in that. His website is SalesNexus.com. Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome to this episode of Faith Positive Radio, Craig Klein. Craig, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, buddy.
Thanks, Joey. I'm really glad to be here. Can't wait to talk.
Oh, man, we're delighted to have you here because we all have people banging on us for our attention each and every day, don't we?
Absolutely. I hope so anyway.
Yeah, well, you wake up in the morning and whatever media choices you make, right? Whether it's on your smartphone or you use terrestrial radio, or actually I think people still pick up newspapers. I'm not sure. Anytime you do anything like that, right? Somebody's banging on you for your attention. And you help companies to actually discover ways of getting people's attention in ways that are honest and with integrity. How do you do that, Craig?
Well, you know, it's interesting that it's really not rocket science. It's just that it's kind of counterintuitive, right? So, you know, the one buzzword that's been around for, I guess, 10 years now that we've all heard about is content marketing, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
And when most business owners hear that, they think, oh man, I got to go hire a writer and produce all these white papers and I don't know what else. And that just doesn't sound like any fun. But really, if you think about, once you know what content marketing really is, what it really is just go ahead and try to be helpful. Just put that first, you know?
Wow.
Instead of putting yourself first, put the customer first and try to help them. How about that?
How about that, man? So it's the difference between features and benefits, right? When features are all about me and I want to tell you all about my gee whiz bang product or service, right? As opposed to what do you want as the customer? What is it that you need? What are the benefits that you're going to accrue from this? Why is it such a challenge for us, Craig, to think about the customer ahead of ourselves?
Well, I think it depends on who you're asking, of course.
Yeah, I'm asking the amazing Craig Klein from Houston, Texas.
I mean, for me personally, you know, in my journey as a salesperson, gosh, when I was first trained as a salesperson, was all about get the money, you know, and
close the deal.
Numbers. Dial the phone, get your 100 calls in, and you know, ask for the order and all that stuff, right?
Oh man, yep. How'd that work out for you, Craig?
Well, I mean, I did well. I mean, I had fun for a while, and I did well, but it wasn't fulfilling at all, you know, and I got burnt out. That's the bottom line. I just got to where I didn't feel like I was doing anything good for anybody, other than paying the bills.
Churn and burn, we always called it. So, I mean, like you said, it's a numbers game. You throw 100 pitches and you hope a percentage of them are strikes, right? Right. So you just count on it being a numbers game. Craig, you said something really interesting, and that is it wasn't fulfilling. What was lacking in it for you?
Well, I mean, looking back on it now, of course, at the time, this is a long time ago, I'm not even sure what I would have said if you had asked me that question then. But looking back on it now, I would say there was nothing redeeming about it, right? That I wasn't doing anything good for anybody other than myself.
So it sounds like your soul was getting dried out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what was your faith journey like when you were churning and burning through sales calls?
Well, I would love to tell you that was the light that went on, and all of a sudden I was a changed man at that moment. But unfortunately, I'm a little slower than that, and it took me a little longer.
Hey, man, I'm in the remedial class daily, so you don't have to apologize to me.
So I ended up moving on to another career in sales and kind of repeating the process to a degree, and did well again, and ended up sort of moving into management, and now I'm hiring salespeople and I'm training them how to sell. And I'm trying to teach them how to sell the way I was taught how to sell.
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe I was just, the short version of the story is what I found is a lot of people just burn out really fast with that approach to selling, right? And it was just a revolving door. I couldn't keep people around.
Right. It wasn't fulfilling for any of them. There was something lacking in their souls as well.
Yeah. And so long story short, I ended up, having a pretty significant issue with my company where they're looking at it and going, Craig, you can't keep any of your employees around here. They keep coming. Some of them do well for a little while and then they're gone.
The back door was larger than the front door, right?
So all of a sudden somebody's looking at me and saying, maybe the problem's not them. Maybe it's you.
Ooh, now there's an identity crisis producing question.
So I wasn't ready to hear that at the time. And it took me a little while to get used to that concept. But luckily, the company that I worked for was very supportive. And they brought in a consultant who did one of these 360-degree interviews. Where they interviewed the whole team. And
I do. Our company does them. In fact, we call them 360 live interviews. Yep. So what kind of feedback did you get, Craig?
Man, it was brutal.
Not what you wanted to hear, was it? Oh, and by the way, Faith Positive Nation, we do have the other experience with 360 lives. We really do when we do those interviews. Sometimes it comes back much better than Craig's experience. However, that was a defining moment for you, wasn't it, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I had no idea that I was making these other people feel the way that they felt.
Wow. How are they feeling? What did you hear them saying?
Just berated and, I don't know if abused is maybe a little too strong a word, but it's the short word to encapsulate everything that they felt.
Yeah, it was like a beat down coming to work every day.
Yeah. Wow. And man, that didn't feel good to me. So now at this point, I'm looking at what I do in terms of selling to my customers and how that feels a little empty sometimes. Right. Now, every time or every now and then you meet a customer where they make it easy for you to have a real healthy relationship with them, right?
But it was nothing that you did. It was what they did, right?
Right. And now I find out even the people I work with don't really feel like I'm adding much to their life.
So there was another source of emptiness. Your soul was
So I'm looking at it and going, okay, well, I'm, numbers wise, it seems like I'm doing great.
That's one metric, right?
But everything else seems like a big zero.
Man, Craig, you remind me what Jesus said. What is it? Profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul. That's what was happening to you, right?
Exactly. That's
wow.
Exactly right.
So
yeah.
great.
So I didn't know what to do, frankly. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a real spiritual basis in my life at that time.
Right.
So I was kind of lost, and thank God, literally,
Yeah.
a friend of mine who had just started his own business and had gone through his own struggles and sort of moments of desperation, and had found a little book that you may be familiar with called The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Og Mandino. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
what an awesome little book. Yeah.
He handed me that book, and he just put his hand on my back, and he said, "Craig, I don't want to preach to you, but this book is small. You can read it today. Sit down and read it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did.
He didn't warn you? He didn't give a disclaimer and say, "Hey, Craig, this book might change your life"? That's what I usually say. Be careful. This book might change your life.
No, he really soft sold it, and probably that's why it worked for me, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, man, that just changed everything. When I began to think about what I was doing in my job with my customers and also with my employees as an opportunity to sit with them and step into their world and figure out, how can I help you, you know?
Yeah. How can I serve you?
That really just opened the door for me to, to faith in general up until that time.
Did it? So you moved from a me orientation to a we orientation, and that opened you up to faith. So how'd you come to know Jesus?
Well, so the Og Mandino is not around anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
However, the book's still very popular, and a gentleman named Dave Blanchard now manages the Og Mandino franchise. And so via this friend of mine, I end up talking to Dave, and Dave is an extremely religious person and does a lot of executive coaching and things like that. And had the opportunity to sit with him. And I realized in talking with Dave that I had been, a Christian as a child. I'd been raised that way.
Okay.
But then I had kind of built this little wall around myself of, here's my business persona.
Oh man. Yeah. The great divide, right? Between who I am, Craig Klein, as a person, and who I am, Craig Klein, as a professional.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dave really showed me how I could just go ahead and open that door up and let the beauty of God come into my professional life. Man, that just changed everything.
Oh, a whole new world for you, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you remember what you were thinking or feeling at that moment when Dave showed you that you could open that door and you took a peek inside at what could be?
I felt a million things all at once, of course. It was pretty overwhelming. I think on the one hand, a lot of what I felt is, wow, how many opportunities have I missed already?
Regret. Yeah.
But then also a sense of determination of, wow, I can't let another minute go by without, taking advantage of like I say, the way I like to think about it is the opportunity to not just help my customer, but bring a little bit of goodness into their life, regardless of where they're coming from at that moment.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So you decided then to serve others in that very moment. Craig Klein from SalesNexus.com is our guest today on Faith Positive Radio. Craig, what advice would you give someone else who finds themselves unfulfilled in their work and struggling to cross that, what I call the great divide between my faith's over here on my personal side, I better not let it enter into my professional side? What advice would you give a person struggling like you were?
Well, I mean, when I think about it, look back on it myself, I know that a big part of that wall was that I had been sort of educated that you couldn't bring that part of your life into the workplace. That especially as a manager or an employer,
Yep.
there's legal consequences, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Or at least, you're told that, right? And man, that to me is the biggest thing, is you just got to let that go. You got to trust that God's going to keep you safe, You
got to trust God. Trust God, live fearless, right? Isn't that what the scriptures say? Man, that is incredible, because so often we buy that lie. And that's what I hear you saying, Craig, is that we can't be Jesus in the workplace. And yet here on Faith Positive Radio, I mean, this is year 5, story after story after story I hear of people coming to Christ, not because somebody took a 20-pound Schofield Bible to work and beat others on the head with them, right? Not because they walked around quoting passages all the time, but simply because they did a couple of crazy things that Jesus told us to do. Love God with everything, and love those people that you work with, your neighbors, as you do yourself. And that love attracts them into a relationship with Christ. So they don't know Jesus' name, but they experience him through you, and suddenly they want what you have. And that's exactly what was going on with you and Dave Blanchard. You read this little book, you get introduced to Dave, and the door opens, and here you and I are today. Craig, that's an amazing story of faith. Thanks for sharing that with us. Tell us about your company, SalesNexus, and how you help, because I know it's all about marketing automation and things like that, helping particularly small and medium businesses attract the customers that will benefit from their help. Sure.
Well, when we got started, it's been a while now, almost 16 years ago now.
Wow.
The idea really was to help salespeople take a more customer-focused approach in their selling, right? So, as a manager of salespeople, I had used other CRMs and sales automation tools, which are largely focused on measuring how many calls did you make and all of that kind of stuff,
the numbers
right?
Game, right? Yeah.
So what I wanted to create was a system that would let the salesperson really focus on deepening their relationship with the customer, and also help management measure their effectiveness at that. So in other words, if I had a sales team who had all just sat down and read The Greatest Salesman in the World,
right,
and really wanted to do that, we wanted to give them a system that would help them get really good at that as a team. Right. So today, that's still a big part of what we try to do, is make things easy for customers to focus on the relationship with their customer, our users to focus on the relationship with their customer. But along the way, we've added a lot of marketing automation capabilities. And so what we do now is a big part of it is helping our customers get engaged with their audience in a effective way, right? So that's back to what we've been talking about with regards to the numbers game of sales and all of that. That's the biggest game changer, because if you can switch your salespeople from spending all of their time just trying to find someone to talk to, somebody that would fog a mirror, might one day buy something.
That's right. If you got a pulse, I'll talk to you in that mentality of sales.
Because if that's where you start them, then you're really setting them up to be the quintessential used car salesman.
Yeah, it's churn and burn, man.
Everybody's just a wallet, and you don't have any choice. You can't hit your numbers if you don't just, like you say, churn and burn.
Right.
So what we're able to do today is help our customers engage with their audience automatically, so their salespeople are spending lots more time talking to people who are already raising their hand and saying, "Hey, I got a problem you might be able to help me with. Let's talk." So now the sales team can spend their time really building those relationships instead of just smiling and dialing.
So instead of throwing sandwiches against the wall and see what sticks, you actually get to sit down with the customer and eat it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. So relationships matter. Is that what you're saying, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen so many times, how if you could show up as a salesperson if that's all you think of yourself as a salesperson.
Right.
You got your script of things that you're going to ask the question.
We're going to have voice tracks here, aren't we, buddy?
And we're going to find out about their needs and their pains and all of those things. And that stuff is important. I'm not discounting it.
Absolutely.
But man, if you give yourself an extra 2 minutes in that conversation to just ask a couple deeper questions, about that lets that customer know that you see them as unique and different from the next guy you're about to talk to.
Okay, Faith Positive Nation, lean in because we're getting ready to get the secret in the sauce here. So what are those 2 powerful questions?
Well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to let you down, but I don't know what the questions are. They are just, you got to be right there in the moment with the customer. I
have to actively listen and care enough about the customer to take so it's not the 2 questions. I was teasing, of course. It's showing the care and concern, or as Christ said, love your neighbor as yourself. You got to love them long enough just to ask a couple of powerful questions and lean in and listen, right?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't realize I was going to be referring to Og Mandino so often, but
yeah, that's okay.
In his scrolls in the greatest salesman in the world, one of them is greet each day with love in your heart, right?
Yep.
And to me, that's a huge one going into a sales call, especially back, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I would just remind myself, I'm going to sit down with this customer and I'm going to look them in the eye and make sure they see the love in my heart, and
that's the way to change the world for the cause of Christ, right?
Exactly. It just changes the conversation that you have so dramatically.
Oh, it breaks the ice in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
It really does. When I think you're pulling up alongside me and you, as a salesperson, really want me to benefit and define your success by my success. That sounds a whole lot like Jesus to me.
Right.
How much does your faith inform what you put into SalesNexus?
Well, it's everything now. I mean, we, as a team, we try to make sure that we practice what we're talking about with every customer, as a company. And that's, it's a challenge sometimes, but it's definitely something that is a part of our mission and we talk about a lot. And, I think that what we found is we have customers today that if we had treated them the same way that all our competitors treat them, we would never have done business with them, right? They would have never seen anything special about us, right? And now they're customers, and we have this relationship that's so far beyond just doing some business, where they're really part of our family,
How much more fulfilling is that than making 50 to 100 calls a day and churn and burn, Craig?
A lot. I mean, what I know is that for our team, it's way more fulfilling. It's one thing for me as the CEO and founder,
right.
But what back to the original problem that sort of started me on this journey, our team members can pour in so much more of their heart into what they do, right? And not at the end of the week or the month be burnt out and be looking for another job in 6 months because I can't take it anymore.
You mean you took your huge back door and made it a doggy door?
Right.
So, and talent attraction and retention is the number one issue most of us face today, right? But especially in sales. I've heard so many CEOs say, if I could just find one good salesperson, right? Well, what are you doing to support them? And it sounds like SalesNexus has discovered the secret in that sauce. Craig Klein is CEO and founder of SalesNexus.com. Tell us how we can find out more about your company, Craig.
Yeah, so you can go to SalesNexus.com/faithpositive, and there you can get a link to our 4 steps to market domination, which is a free download that will kind of walk you through how to start writing the kind of emails that will attract customers to your business.
Oh, sweet. And so is there any charge? Did you say it's a free download?
It is totally free.
Oh, man. How cool is that, Faith Positive Nation? Thank you so much, Craig, for that gift of 4 steps to market domination. So somebody in Faith Positive Nation, because of your generosity, is going to want to be generous with you and discover more about SalesNexus.com. Obviously, you can go to SalesNexus.com/faithpositive. Is there a contact form on your website or an email address or something where we can get to you, Craig?
Yeah, sure. You can again go to salesnexus.com/faithpositive, and right there on that page, there's also a link to start a free trial of our system and try it out.
Oh, sweet.
All that's free. And then feel free to just email me at Klein, CKLEIN @salesnexus.com.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest, Craig Klein, about a favorite Bible verse or passage that really drives their business or keeps their heart engaged with their work and their faith. What's yours?
Well, mine's a little counterintuitive, I guess, but since we've gone through the story that we went through earlier,
right.
It'll make sense, I think. It's Acts 5:3. Why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit?
Wow. Tell me why that's your favorite verse, man.
Because that reminds me the slippery slope of trying to focus on the numbers. And it's so easy to let yourself just kind of bend the rules a little bit that first call, and then the next call it's a little easier. And
it is, man. Yeah, you start using people really quickly. I love that verse. Read it one more time for us.
Why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit?
Man, and the truth is we in Faith Positive Nation, even though we're Christian business professionals, we buy the lie sometimes, don't we? Because the culture around us really encourages us to do that. Craig, man, I love you, brother. You have filled my heart to overflowing with great information, but also some inspiration that particularly in a field that's difficult for so many of us today in sales, to be able to really do it with integrity and have our Christian faith intact. And I also learned from you today the importance of being able to cross that great divide between personal faith and your professional work, and you've done it in an amazing way. SalesNexus, that's nexus.com, and then /faithpositive. Go get your free download of the 4 steps to market domination, and you can certainly find a contact form there for Craig Klein and reach out to him. Craig, man, thanks so much. I really appreciate the gift of your time, your wisdom today. Faith Positive Nation is a better community of believers in the workplace because we've had this conversation with you today, man. So I pray God's blessings on you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for all the great work that you're doing to get the message out there. Really loved the conversation, and God bless you too and all your listeners.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.